Greetings and welcome. This is your Shogun here, Sugi, and today I'm gonna be reviewing this anthology movie from the year 2010 known as Halo Legends. And I thought it would be excellent time to touch upon on this movie since we're only roughly 2 weeks away from the Paramount's TV show premiere, which I'm frankly very excited about because it's looking aesthetically very nice and the production value seems very high on this project. It's already been renewed for a second season, and I think it's going to be bringing a lot of new fans to the Halo franchise, and they are going to be exploring the games and perhaps also Halo Legends as well. But let's get started. So Halo Legends is a collection of 7 short films, and here's the thing. I am not generally a fan of anthology movies. I gave a very critical review of Star Wars Visions, Animatrix when I saw it when I was young. I wasn't super big fan of that either. Gonna be rewatching it, reviewing it soon, hopefully this year. And other anthology movies which I've, seen in the past. I just never really been a big fan of them, but I have to say Halo Legends kind of, changed my viewpoint of like anthology movies and thinking like, okay, this can really work out if you, work out all the necessary kinks here and have some type of a, general direction for all of them. So Halo Legends was produced back in 2010, and it was financed by 343 Industries, and there were a lot of like big production houses involved. B-Train, Bones, which is a very big one, Casio Entertainment, Production IG, Studio 4C, and also very classical, long-time, old-school studio, Toei Animation. And the person that was, the creator and the director here was Shinji Aramaki, who worked on Appleseed and Appleseed EX Machina. I'm not familiar with those projects. Maybe later on I will kind of touch upon them. But he has a background of sci-fi and like this sort of mecha stuff, which Halo is kind of, entwined with. And I think that was really good for him because, you're bringing a person in who has worked with the IP and worked with a franchise that is very similar to the one that you're working on. Because you can't just like bring in necessarily a guy who has worked on comedy to work on a sci-fi film or something like that. So I want to kind of touch upon all the episodes kind of one by one, and I will be going to the DVD order. And basically, I did say that there's 7 episodes, but that's kind of like if you're, considering Origins as one. But basically, there's 8. Now, first and foremost, like I think one of the things that made this whole thing successful is that you had this Frank O'Connor, who was creative director of the gaming company. He was probably more involved in this project than, let's say, Disney was involved with Star Wars Visions, for example, which I think was maybe one of the reasons why I ended up actually liking this quite much. And the episodes are roughly around 10 to 20 minutes, so making all the running time is 120 minutes. They are not exactly like considered to be canon per se. Anthology movies never really are, but I think there are really like good ways to kind of build up on the world of Halo and the world around it, and I think it does really good world building. And that's a great way to start, which is the origin episode, which is kind of like these flashbacks of the world events, how did things happen, going into the prior events of the first Halo game and the events of Halo 2 and 3 basically, which are kind of like summarized to the first 2 episodes. And the problem with the games, actually, I haven't played like the 3 latest ones. I think I'm in playing Halo 4 right now with my friend. We bought the Master Chief Collection. And the first 3 Halo games, especially like the way that the story is being told and everything, like I can't say it was really strong suit. I think it was most of the time confusing. Even though I'm like playing the games for a second time, I still don't like fully get the story. Like I had to go to YouTube explaining the lore. So the presentation of the story in Halo games was always kind of like a bit of a weak point, especially on these earlier titles. It was perhaps a bit better in ODST and also on the Guardians, but I think in general, like, it's not like the best way to present the story. And the Origins, which are the first 2 episodes done by Studio 4C, visually very good looking, give a pretty good much rundown, like how things came to be, humanity's rise, the civil wars, and then Covenant appearing, and it does like a really, really good breakdown of the Halo story. So if you're like a guy who's really getting into playing the games, you could basically watch the origins and get like a really good glimpse and understanding of the macro dynamic of the world of Halo. Now, these episodes I really liked, so because they were so lore focused and they were giving out this like pretext of like the world, and it's also good for people who have never done anything with Halo, don't know the games, or don't plan to play the games, and they just watch the TV show, and this is like great for them, like kind of going into origins. Obviously the TV show is not going to be like following exactly the core, they're going to be having their own lore, but it's just Covenant and things like that. Now the third episode is called The Duel, and this was done by Production IG, which, have delved into the aspects of 3D. And they were doing, watercolor stuff. So cell drawing in 2D style and, CG 3D style. They were kind of like in the Wikipedia, they talk about, this is a groundbreaking technology, changing the stylistic things. I mean, honestly, this was absolutely horrible looking. This is the worst episode of the anthology. The Duel looks awful. Like, even if I would have seen it in 2010, it looked like very dog shit. This was like really not a good art direction. It looks like one of those cheap Photoshop filters that some amateurs might use, like bubble wrapped around on your photo or something. Nobody uses those filters, by the way, in Photoshop or Adobe Premiere, which I use to edit my videos. So this was absolutely abysmal, okay, and probably the worst episode altogether. And it does tell a story of an arbiter, which is, it's a rank, by the way. The character, people might confuse that the Arbiter is the character that you see in Halo 2 and in Halo 1, but basically Arbiter is just a rank. It's called Arbiter, but that's not his name. And this kind of follows one of these Arbiters who doesn't want to follow the, Covenant religion, and there's this weird samurai duel and fighting, and I don't think it was very canonical. It was kind of unrealistic. We used fighting this giant army, and I wouldn't believe that one guy could be taking so many. This was a horrible episode. Now the third episode fourth is called The Homecoming, and this is a story. This is done by B Train, and they did this sort of story of these Spartans, which were super soldiers, and they escaped the project because of experimentations on them. This is something that they are going to be touching upon on the TV show, far as I know, and this was always kind of maybe could have been explored a lot more in terms of in the Halo, how the Spartans were born and the experimentation with them, because they have these things on their backs where their plates are being installed. They are a form of exosuits, I guess. I mean, maybe that's not a real technical term here, but and it's kind of this sort of warfare, and she finds a clone of herself. This was aesthetically very nice. It's kind of a more battle-esque type of episode, and this was a solid anthology episode. And the fifth episode is called Odd One Out, and this is by Toei Animation, and this is Dragon Ball meets Halo, and it's absolutely a ridiculous setting. And it follows the adventure of Spartan 1337. It's kind of a very, it's a very not serious. You can't take this episode seriously, and that's the way to really ingest it. And it has a lot of these Dragon Ball toy vibes, and I just like it. It's so silly and ridiculous in so many ways, but it's aesthetically very nice, and also showing these fighting scenes, Dragon Ball fight, and it's just fantastic. Honestly, the way it's done, and I just frankly, I thought it was really excellent episode. It's so random, in you would not expect this type of a collab, but it's it's just somehow it just works. It was epic in so many ways. And the sixth episode called Prototype. This is for the mecha fans. This is about basically the suit known as Ghost, which is some super prototype weapon, and they don't want it to fall into Covenant hands, and this guy is taking the weapon and start to fight with it. This is a very good war episode. The Bones is behind this one, and obviously Bones is a very excellent studio, and they just rocked it by the ballpark pretty much. I mean, excellent episode. Very short character build up there. Flashbacks and things that are built up there. Anthology movies are not great for character development and things like that, which I usually appreciate. but it's like you have to kind of review short stories as short stories. And this was like, animation was really good. And it was also like the Ghost unit is totally like made specifically for Halo Legends, and it's kind of like paying homage to like mecha stuff. So people who are really into mecha can probably appreciate this a lot, and kind of like reminds me a bit of the Appleseed stuff that I've seen also. So definitely probably some influence there. And then there is the 7th episode, The Babysitter. This was done also by Studio C, who did the Origins episodes. And this is kind of like, the ODST, so the Orbital Drop Shock Troopers or the Hell Jumpers. And they are basically joined by, a Spartan in their mission. And they're basically sent out to, like, snipe out this Covenant Prophet. And it's just like a very good action episode once again. And it also has like a bit of a character build up there. How much basically what a short episode can have. And this was also like, just really well done. And, it's basically, one of the stronger episodes once again, Studio 4C, fantastic animation. And this could have been like if you would have like built in like a whole series about something, this probably would have been like my core episode, which I would have adapted into a whole series if you wanted to go with that. And who knows, they might explore that again with like a full anime with now the TV show is coming out. Who knows, Paramount might be interested. And then there's the last episode, The Package, which is done by Casio Entertainment, which I'm not familiar with. It seems like these were kind of like the people who did Red and Blue. And this is like a very like 3D, very, very high, end style. Because there are like good 3D and bad 3D in Japan. And the 3D quality in there in general like is so... the quality is so inconsistent in so many ways. Like this was, but this was a solid episode. I didn't care much about it as the two previous, the Homecoming or the Odd One Out or the Prototype. Those were really good ones. This was a solid episode too, but I didn't care much about it. It's more like a space battle thing, and it has some interesting, voice dialogue and everything. But I thought this was a solid too. Now to also kind of like, talk about one of the good things that they used here is that they used tracks from the Halo soundtrack, the Halo theme. They think they used the themes from the Halo Wars, which I had not played. And I think this was really well done in some aspects because there are a lot of games, movie adaptations or TV show adaptations, which don't use like, they're like Star Wars TV shows. They don't use like a lot of the best themes from the original movies, which they should utilize a lot more. And people like them. They're iconic, and I think Halo Legends like really utilize well some of these tracks from the Halo games because they're iconic and people, associate them with them. And it's also bringing that immersion in, that this is a Halo universe. You're watching a Halo movie here, and this feels Halo, and that's important to build that feeling. Now, one of the things I do want to say that they kind of failed here, aside from the Duel episode, is that Master Chief does appear on a couple of these shorts. I'm not going to say which ones, but they didn't have the original voice actor in. And I'm pretty sure they also didn't have the Cortana's voice actor. And that's the problem here in America in general, is that they're not so hard on bringing the original voice actors on as they are in Japan, for example. And I think that's a really big problem in general. Like, you want to have... voice actor of, Master Chief is very iconic. Now, it was really interesting that they didn't opt in for him in the TV show. They could have just have one guy like playing off helmet or stuff like that as a kid. But it's weird to me sometimes. But actually the actor that they got for playing Master Chief on the new Halo show is actually like pretty decent. I approve it. It's not as good as voice as the original voice actor, but it does his job. Now, but here again, like, why didn't you get those Cortana's voice actor in this Halo Legends? Like, these are pretty clean, and this is not like some random franchise, like let's say Devil May Cry, in which each game the English voice actor has changed. The Master Chief's voice actor has been the same in every single game, far as I know, and also Cortana's voice actor has been the same from start to finish. So you really want to keep that consistency going on also on other things. and yeah, maybe it's going to be costing you more. I don't care, but it's a very important key detail that you want to do it in case there's going to be like a new show. I expect Cortana is going to be reprising, and the new guy playing Master Chief is also going to be voicing Master Chief if there's going to be a new show anime coming out of Halo Legends. But my verdict here is Halo Legends is actually pretty decent as an anthology show. Very solid episodes. Only 1 week episodes out of 8, which is, I think, a very good thing in terms of anthology. And I just I thought it was a great package. It felt the stories were overly long, good pacing there. Animation very solid on all of them, and it just showcased the talents of the animation studios as well. And there's a variety here. There's a bit of comedic episodes with Odd One Out, and then you have a lot of more serious stuff with the other productions, and also a lot of lore. But we're gonna wrap it up here. Stay tuned for other reviews. A lot of OG stuff coming out, vintage reviews, and also some recent stuff. Gotta get back to that Shaman King. But I will be seeing you in the next video. Thanks for watching. See you soon.